The bright lights of Kepler Station Academy flickered and turned red as loud warning sounds filled the hallways. Students from many different planets ran in fear as something terrible was happening. The space station that was once full of happy learning had become a place of panic and death. Dr. Marcus Webb stood in the medical center watching alien students get sicker and sicker. His hands shook as he read the numbers on his computer screen. In just 3 days, 42 students had gotten very ill, and 15 had already died. The mysterious sickness was spreading faster than anyone could stop it. "Doctor, we need more beds," said Nurse Emma Clark as she rushed past him carrying medical supplies. Her white uniform was dirty with sweat and she looked exhausted. "The Zephyrian students are filling up the entire East Wing." Webb looked through the glass window at the main medical room. Zephyrian students lay on beds breathing very hard. Their bodies were made of crystal-like material that normally glowed with beautiful colors. Now the crystals were dark and cracked. Strange liquid came out of their breathing holes making terrible sounds. In the next room, the insect-like klaxon students were even worse. Their hard shell bodies were shaking and turning strange colors. 2 more had died in the last hour. Their species had never seen anything like this sickness before. "What about the Tent-Harry students?" Webb asked Emma as she checked another patient. "They locked themselves in their rooms yesterday," Emma replied sadly. "Their green skin started changing colors when the sickness began. They won't come out or let anyone in." The station's computer voice spoke to everyone. "All students must stay in their rooms. This is a medical emergency. Do not leave your areas." Webb walked to his office and sat down hard in his chair. He had been a doctor for 20 years and had treated many different alien species. But this was different. This sickness attacked the breathing systems of every species in a different way. For the Zephyrians, it filled their crystal lungs with liquid. For the klaxons, it made their breathing holes close up. For the Tent-Harry, it made their skin change colors and stop working properly. The door opened and Dr. Kethvor entered. He was from the Altrian species with blue skin and 4 arms. His usually calm face showed fear and worry. "Webb, we need to talk," Kethvor said in his deep voice. "I just got reports from 3 other space stations. They are seeing the same sickness." Webb felt his heart beat faster. "How many?" "Station Gamma 7 has 30 dead. Station Beta Prime is evacuating everyone. Webb, if this spreads to the home planets." Kethvor didn't finish his sentence, but Webb understood. This could kill millions of aliens across the galaxy. Outside the office window, Webb could see more emergency ships arriving at the station. Medical teams in white protective suits ran across the docking area carrying equipment and medicines. But nothing they tried was working. The alien students kept getting sicker. "Sir, we have another problem," Emma said as she came into the office quickly. "The Morgani students are refusing all treatment. They think this sickness is some kind of punishment from their gods." The Morgani were a religious species with purple fur and long tails. They believed that sickness came from doing bad things. Now they were sitting in their rooms praying instead of taking medicine, and they were dying faster because of it. Webb put his head in his hands. In medical school, they taught doctors how to treat diseases. They never taught them how to handle something like this. How do you fight a sickness that affects every species differently? How do you treat patients who won't take medicine? How do you stop panic when students are dying every few hours? "Doctor, there's something else," Emma said quietly. "The human students in Section C, they're not getting sick." Webb looked up quickly. "What do you mean?" "I mean they're fine. A few of them have runny noses and are coughing a little bit, but they are walking around, eating food, and acting normal. While everyone else is dying, they seem perfectly healthy." This was strange news. The human students lived in the same areas as everyone else. They breathed the same air and ate in the same cafeteria. If this sickness was spreading through the air or food, the humans should be just as sick as everyone else. "Have you tested them?" Webb asked. "We tried, but they don't want to come to the medical center. They think we're overreacting to what they call a little cold. They keep asking why everyone is so worried about some sniffles." Webb stood up and walked to the window again. In the distance, he could see evacuation ships getting ready to take the healthy students away from the station. Soon, Kepler Station Academy would be empty except for the sick, the dying, and the medical teams trying to save them. The computer voice spoke again. "All healthy students report to evacuation points. Emergency ships will depart in 6 hours." As Webb watched the chaos outside, he wondered if the humans might hold the answer to stopping this terrible sickness. But first, he had to keep his patients alive long enough to find out. The red warning lights continued to flash, and somewhere in the distance, another alarm started ringing as more students fell ill. Tom Richards wiped his nose with a tissue and tossed it into the trash bin. His roommate David Park looked up from his homework with a worried face. "You still have that cold?" David asked, closing his book about alien biology. "Yeah, just stuffy nose and a little cough," Tom said, sitting on his bed. "Nothing serious though. I felt worse last winter when I got sick back home on Earth." Down the hallway, Rebecca Stone came out of her room looking tired but okay. She walked to the common area where other human students were sitting around talking and doing homework. Even though the rest of the space station was in panic, the human section felt normal and calm. "Did you guys hear what's happening in the other parts of the station?" asked James Wilson, looking at his communication device. "They're saying some kind of deadly disease is killing students." "Really?" Rebecca sat down next to him. "That sounds scary. But if it was that dangerous, wouldn't we be sick too? I mean, we all eat in the same cafeteria and go to the same classes." Lisa Murphy, a medical student, joined the group. She had been sneezing on and off for the past few days but felt fine otherwise. "I heard they put the whole station on emergency lockdown. They're evacuating students to other planets." "Maybe we should volunteer to help," Tom said, standing up. "I mean, we're not sick, so we could assist the medical teams or something." Before anyone could respond, two figures in big white protective suits walked into their area. The suits covered them completely, with glass windows to see through and machines to help them breathe. They looked like they were ready to walk on a dangerous planet. The first figure spoke through a machine that changed their voice. "Human students, you must stay in this section. Do not try to leave this area." Tom walked toward them, still holding his tissue. "Is this about the sickness everyone is talking about? Look, we're all fine here. Maybe we can help with whatever's going on." "Stay away," the alien medical officer stepped back quickly, almost falling over. "You are infected. How are you still alive and walking around?" The humans looked at each other with confused faces. David coughed a little and wiped his nose. "Infected with what?" "We just have some sniffles and coughs. It's like having a small cold." "This is impossible," the medical officer whispered to the other person in the protective suit. "According to our tests, they should be dead by now." Rebecca stood up slowly. "What do you mean dead?" "We feel fine. A little tired maybe, but that's normal when you have a cold." The second medical officer took out a small device and pointed it at the humans. The device made beeping sounds and flashed red lights. "The readings are confirmed. They are definitely infected with the same virus that is killing the other students." "But look at them," the first officer said in a scared voice. "They are talking, walking, even laughing. The Zephyrian students can barely breathe. The Klaxon students are dying within hours. These humans act like nothing is wrong." James Wilson scratched his head. "I don't understand. Are you saying we're supposed to be really sick? Because honestly, I've had worse colds than this. My little brother gets sicker than this every winter." "Your brother survives this disease regularly?" the medical officer asked in shock. "Well, yeah," James said like it was obvious. "Everyone gets colds and flu back on Earth. You just rest, drink lots of water, maybe take some medicine, and you feel better in a week or so." The two medical officers stepped back even further. They talked to each other in quiet voices that the humans couldn't hear clearly. Through their protective masks, the humans could see their alien faces looked very frightened. "This doesn't make sense," Lisa said, using her medical training to think about the situation. "If we're infected with something deadly, we should be showing serious symptoms. High fever, trouble breathing, severe pain. But all we have are minor cold symptoms." Tom sneezed again and reached for another tissue. The sound made both medical officers jump backward like he had exploded. "Please," one of them said through their machine voice. "Do not make sudden movements or sounds. We need to understand how your species can survive this plague." "Plague?" Rebecca laughed a little. "You're calling a runny nose a plague? Back on Earth, we call this Tuesday." The medical officers looked at each other again. One of them spoke into a communication device. "Command, we need to speak with the chief medical officer immediately. The humans they are not reacting to the virus like any other species we have seen." David yawned and stretched. "Look, if you want to keep us here, that's fine. But can you at least tell us what's going on? And maybe bring us some soup? When you have a cold, soup always makes you feel better." "Soup?" The medical officer repeated the word like he had never heard it before. "Yeah, you know, hot liquid with vegetables and maybe some chicken or noodles," Tom explained. "My mom always made me soup when I was sick. It helps with the stuffy nose and makes you feel warm inside. The two medical officers quickly left the human section, talking urgently to each other as they walked away. Through the closed doors, the humans could hear them speaking rapidly into their communication devices. The human students sat back down, still confused about why everyone was so worried about what felt like a normal cold season. 3 days had passed since the humans were locked in their section of the space station. While alien students continued to fill the medical rooms, the human students felt better each day. Some had stopped sneezing completely, and others just had small coughs that were going away. Lisa Murphy stood at the big metal door that kept them separated from the rest of the station. She was angry and frustrated because she wanted to help. As a medical student, she knew she could be useful during this emergency. "This is crazy," Lisa said loudly, hoping someone would hear her through the door's communication system. "I'm a medical student. I have 4 years of training. Let me help figure out what's wrong." A voice came through the speaker in the wall. "No, human student. You are still contaminated. You cannot leave." Tom walked over to join Lisa at the door. He felt much better now and was getting bored of being locked up. "Contaminated? My grandmother gets worse colds than this every Christmas. This feels just like normal flu season back home." What Tom didn't know was that the station's smart computer system was listening to everything the humans said. The computer was programmed to translate languages and analyze medical information. When Tom said normal flu season, the computer immediately started searching through thousands of medical files from Earth. In less than 5 minutes, the computer found something very important. The sickness that was killing alien students had the same genetic pattern as something called influenza from Earth's medical records. The computer sent this information directly to Dr. Webb. 1 hour later, Dr. Webb arrived at the human section with another doctor. The second doctor was very tall with blue skin and 4 arms. His name was Dr. Vextar, and he was the head medical officer for the entire station. "Human student Murphy," Dr. Webb's voice came through the speaker. He sounded tired and stressed. "You said you have medical training?" "Yes," Lisa replied quickly. 4 years of studying alien biology and medicine. I know how different species' bodies work. Why are you asking?" Dr. Webb and Dr. Vextar looked at each other through the door's small window. They both appeared shocked and confused. "Our computer has found something very strange," Dr. Webb continued. "It says the virus killing our students is very similar to something you called flu season. Can you explain what that means?" Lisa's eyes went wide as she understood. "Wait, are you talking about influenza? The flu virus? Are you saying that's what's making the other students so sick? You know this disease?" Dr. Vextar asked through the speaker. His blue face looked surprised. "Of course I know it," Lisa said. "Everyone on Earth knows about the flu. We get different types every year. It usually happens during cold months. Some years it's worse than others, but it's very common." Rebecca heard the conversation and came over to the door. She was still sniffling a little but looked healthy. "Are you telling us that what we call the seasonal flu is killing alien students? That doesn't seem possible." Dr. Vextar's voice came through the speaker again, and he sounded frightened. "This pathogen has killed 4 to 7 students so far. Many more are dying. You describe this as seasonal." "Well, yes," Tom said, joining the conversation. "Back on Earth, millions of people get the flu every year. Most people just stay home from work, drink lots of fluids, get some rest, and feel better in about a week. Some people take medicine to help with the symptoms." "Medicine?" Dr. Webb asked quickly. "What kind of medicine?" Lisa thought about this carefully. She wanted to give accurate medical information. Basic antiviral drugs, fever reducers, decongestants for stuffy noses. Sometimes people take zinc or vitamin C. But honestly, rest and staying hydrated are the most important things. Through the door's window, the humans could see both doctors staring at them in complete shock. Dr. Vextar's blue skin had turned even paler. "You treat this deadly disease with rest and fluids?" Dr. Vextar asked in disbelief. "It's not deadly for humans," James Wilson said, walking over to join the conversation. "I mean, sometimes very old people or very sick people can have serious problems, but for most healthy people, it's just annoying. You feel bad for a few days, then you get better." Dr. Webb put his hand on his head like he had a headache. "Student Murphy, how often do humans get this influenza?" "Every year," Lisa answered. "Different strains, different strengths. Some years are worse than others. The year 2019 was pretty bad on Earth. Lots of people got really sick that year. But we developed vaccines and better treatments. Vaccines? Dr. Vextar repeated. Your species created vaccines for this plague. Sure, Rebecca said. Most people get flu shots every year. They don't always prevent the flu completely, but they make it less severe if you do get sick. The two doctors stood in silence for a long time. The humans could see them talking to each other, but couldn't hear what they were saying. Finally, Dr. Webb spoke again. Students, we need your help. If you truly understand this disease, you might be able to save the lives of hundreds of alien students across multiple space stations. Lisa pressed her hand against the door. Then let us help. We're not your enemy. We're the solution you've been looking for. The communication system went quiet, and the humans waited to see if the alien doctors would finally listen to them. The number of dead students had reached 62, and Dr. Webb knew they were running out of time. Emergency ships from 3 different planets were already flying toward the station to take away the healthy students. If they couldn't stop this sickness soon, it would spread across the entire galaxy. Dr. Webb stood in his office arguing with Dr. Vextar. The blue-skinned doctor was shaking his forearms and speaking in an angry voice. Absolutely not, Webb, Dr. Vextar said firmly. We cannot let infected humans into our medical areas. It is too dangerous. What if they make the other patients worse? But they are the only ones who have survived this disease, Dr. Webb argued back. Student Murphy has medical training. She understands this sickness better than we do. We have tried everything else and nothing works. Through the communication system, they could hear Lisa Murphy's voice from the human section. Dr. Webb, I have been looking at the medical information you sent me. The genetic code definitely matches several flu viruses from Earth's medical databases. This is a respiratory virus very similar to our H3N2 type. H3N2. Dr. Webb repeated the strange letters and numbers. It's just a name for one type of flu virus. Tom's voice came through the speaker. My little sister gets this every winter. My mom just gives her chicken soup and makes her rest in bed for a few days. Dr. Vextar's translator machine had trouble understanding the words. Chicken soup? What kind of medical treatment is this? While they were talking, another emergency transport ship arrived at the station. 6 more alien students were carried in on stretchers. They were barely breathing and their skin had changed to strange colors. The medical teams rushed them to the intensive care rooms, but everyone knew there was little hope. Dr. Webb watched through his office window as the medical staff ran around trying to save lives. They had used every medicine they knew, every treatment they had learned in medical school. Nothing worked. The alien students kept getting sicker and more kept dying. The Morgani students are refusing all treatment now, Nurse Emma Clark said as she entered the office quickly. Her uniform was dirty and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. They think accepting human help would be against their religion. The Morgani were a proud species with purple fur. They believed that accepting help from other species during sickness was shameful. Now their religious beliefs were going to kill them. How many Klaxon students are left alive? Dr. Webb asked. Only 3, Emma replied sadly. Their breathing systems can't handle this virus. They die within hours of getting infected. Dr. Vextar walked to the window and looked out at the medical bay. He could see alien students lying on beds, connected to breathing machines and 4 tubes. Their families had been contacted and were flying to the station to say goodbye. Dr. Webb, Emma said quietly, if we don't try something different soon, we're going to lose everyone. That's when Dr. Webb made the most difficult decision of his career. He turned to Dr. Vextar and spoke in a serious voice. Medical emergency protocols allow me to authorize unusual treatments when all normal methods have failed. I'm going to let the humans help. This is madness, Dr. Vextar said, his blue skin turning pale. You will kill us all. We're already dying, Dr. Webb replied. At least this way we have a chance. He activated the communication system to talk to the human students. Student Murphy, we are going to allow you supervised access to Medical Bay 3. We will give you a small group of volunteer patients who are willing to try your human treatments. Lisa's excited voice came through the speaker immediately. Thank you, Dr. Webb. I'll need access to your antiviral medicines, 4 fluids for hydration, and basic fever-reducing drugs. Also, someone should start making some kind of nutritious broth or soup. Dr. Vextar whispered to himself, either these humans will save us, or we have just made the biggest mistake in galactic medical history. 30 minutes later, the big metal door to the human section slowly opened for the first time in 4 days. Lisa Murphy walked out wearing just a simple face mask, not the full protective suit that the alien doctors wore. She looked confident and ready to help. Where are the volunteer patients? Lisa asked as she entered Medical Bay 3. Dr. Webb pointed to 5 beds where alien students lay very sick. There were 2 Zephyrians with their crystal bodies cracked and dark, 1 Klaxon whose shell was changing colors, and 2 Tentari whose green skin had spots of brown sickness. These students have agreed to try your human treatments, Dr. Webb explained. Their families have given permission. Lisa walked to the first bed and looked at a young Zephyrian student. The crystal being was breathing very hard and liquid was coming from their breathing holes. This is definitely respiratory distress from viral infection, Lisa said, sounding like a real doctor. We need to start 4 fluids immediately to prevent dehydration. Then we'll give antiviral medication and fever reducers. Tom and Rebecca entered the medical bay carrying trays of warm broth that the kitchen staff had prepared. It wasn't exactly chicken soup, but it was nutritious liquid that could help sick patients. Dr. Vextar watched from the observation window as the humans began treating the alien students with simple medicines and basic care. He hoped they weren't about to witness the end of everything. 2 weeks later, Kepler Station Academy looked completely different. The red warning lights were gone, and normal white lights filled the hallways again. Students from different planets walked around talking and laughing. The medical bay, which had been full of dying patients, now had students sitting up in their beds, eating food and feeling much better. Dr. Webb stood in the observation room with Dr. Vextar, watching Lisa Murphy check on a young Zephyrian student. The crystal being's body was glowing with beautiful colors again, and clear liquid flowed normally through their breathing system. I still cannot believe it, Dr. Vextar said quietly, shaking his blue head. Simple antiviral medicine, salt water in the veins, and soup. That is all it took. Don't forget the bed rest, Tom said cheerfully as he walked past carrying a tray of warm broth. He had been helping take care of patients for the past week. The alien medical staff had officially made him and the other humans part of the medical team. Back home on Earth, rest is half the cure for any flu. The treatment that Lisa had used was embarrassingly simple. She gave the alien students the same medicines that humans kept in their bathroom cabinets back on Earth. Basic antiviral pills that most space stations already had in storage, 4 bags full of salt water to keep patients hydrated, simple pills to reduce fever, and lots of rest. The mysterious plague that had threatened to kill students across the galaxy was defeated by what humans considered normal cold medicine. Rebecca walked up to the observation window carrying a communication device. Dr. Webb, the Galactic Medical Council wants to interview all the human students. The news about our miracle cure has spread to medical centers on 50 different planets. Dr. Webb laughed and shook his head. Student Murphy, in your medical opinion, how common are these flu viruses among human populations? Lisa thought about the question while she adjusted an 4-tube for a Klaxon student whose shell had returned to its normal green color. Pretty much universal, honestly. Humans have been dealing with seasonal flu for thousands of years. Most of our immune systems learned to handle dozens of different flu types. What kills other species is just another Tuesday for us. Word about what happened at Kepler Station Academy spread incredibly fast through the galaxy's communication networks. News reports talked about the human miracle, and how Earth students had saved alien lives with simple remedies. Medical schools on dozens of planets started requesting human teachers to learn about Earth diseases and treatments. The most surprising result was that humanity suddenly became famous throughout the galaxy. But not as the mighty warriors that appeared in science fiction movies, or as brilliant scientists who could solve any problem. Instead, humans became known as the species that could look at cosmic disasters and say, "Oh, that? We have medicine for that at home." Dr. Vextar received an official message from the Galactic Medical Emergency Response Committee. They wanted to make humans the primary epidemic response specialists for the outer rim of the galaxy. Not because humans were immune to diseases, but because they had survived so many different sicknesses throughout their history that very few germs could surprise them. It is remarkable, Dr. Vextar said to Dr. Webb as they watched Tom help a Tentari student walk around the medical bay. We spent days trying advanced treatments, experimental drugs, and emergency procedures. The humans cured our patients with what they call basic cold medicine. Lisa joined them at the observation window. She looked tired but happy. Saving lives always made her feel good, even when the solution was simple. Dr. Webb, I've been thinking about this, Lisa said. On Earth, we have medicines and treatments for hundreds of different diseases. Malaria, pneumonia, food poisoning, skin infections, headaches, stomach problems. Things that might seem deadly to other species are just common problems to us. What are you suggesting? Dr. Webb asked. Maybe humans could help create a galactic medical database. We could share our knowledge about diseases and treatments with other species. That way, if something like this happens again, doctors across the galaxy would know what to do. Dr. Vextar's forearms moved excitedly. That is an excellent idea. Your species could prevent countless deaths throughout the galaxy. Tom, who was still helping patients, overheard the conversation and laughed. You know, this whole thing wasn't even as bad as the flu season we had in 2019 back on Earth. Now that was rough. Everyone was sick for weeks. The alien doctors stared at him in amazement. What had nearly destroyed their space station was considered a mild year for humans. As the weeks went by, more humans arrived at Kepler Station Academy. Some were doctors, some were medical students, and some were just regular people who had experience taking care of sick family members. They brought with them knowledge about treating diseases that had plagued humanity for thousands of years. The galaxy learned an important lesson that day. Sometimes the greatest heroes are not the strongest fighters or the smartest scientists. Sometimes heroes are the people who have survived so much that they can look at your worst nightmare and say, "Don't worry, we know exactly how to fix that." And that is how humans became known throughout the galaxy as the species that treats apocalyptic diseases with soup, rest, and medicine from their bathroom cabinets.